Welcome to the GFX Diaries. This is a new YouTube channel. This is the first video on the channel. I would like to take the opportunity to share with you some of my photographic journeys with both this and more, together with images. Let's get into the first video. Roll the intro. Hello and welcome to the channel, the GFX. This is a new channel on YouTube. This is my first YouTube video. Apologies in advance if it's a little bit clunky, and I'm an older photographer. I don't come from the digital age, but certainly I've used digital cameras and that for the past 20 years or so. So what am I doing here? Why am I doing it? What do I want to share with you or tell you or whatever? But the point of the channel is to share my journey, my diaries. I'd gone through years of collecting lenses, as most photographers seem to do, and bodies, and I started with Fuji about 11 years ago, and started with X-T20s and moved into X-T2s, X-H1s. I still think the H1 is one of my favourite cameras of all time, and I've certainly used most brands of camera over the years. But having said that, I'd got to the H1, and about 5 years ago I added the GFX for certain projects that I was doing, and I added GFX 50R, progressed to a 50S2, built up a range of lenses for that. More recently I added a 100S to the mix to put me on that sort of next level with flexibility and resolution. Of course, nobody needs 100 megapixel perhaps, but yeah, it's nice to have. So the purpose of the channel is to talk about my journey, and of course add GFX in the mix as and when people would like to see it, or as the channel develops. So what did I do? Why? Well, I got tired of choices. As you get older, you want less choices. What lenses shall I take? Shall I take 3 lenses? Shall I take 2? Should I take a zoom lens? I've got H1s. Should I take 2 H1s? Should I take 1? Should I take an X-T20 or whatever? So cabinet full of stuff. Usual thing. So what did I do? Well, I sat there and I thought, well, this is no good. I want to take all these choices away. Even a zoom lens gives you too many choices sometimes. So I sold everything. I just literally in a weekend put everything up for sale. Everything went. X series lens, at least, all the classic stuff, the adapted lenses, it all went along with the cameras. And yeah, it left me with a pretty sad looking empty cabinet. GFX I quietly pushed to one side, so I didn't do anything with that, because that was too special to me, and for some of the other work that I do, project work, that's obviously I needed to keep that. But the X series stuff all went. What did I swap it for? What was the choice? Well, I looked at all the choices. I'd used Fuji, but I looked at Sony and Nikon and Canon options, and Ricoh and little GR and all of those options, and in the end, what did I end up with? Well, the answer was, having considered all the options, it was one of these, an X100VI. Now I can hear you all sitting there go, oh god, no, another review and trendy camera guy with a 100VI, you know, the most overhyped, some say expensive camera, overrated camera of all time, certainly in recent years. But having said that, for sure, I've used Fuji for 10 years now. But having said that, I looked at all the options, and really, this for the price and what I paid, I didn't buy this new. I bought it with 100 shots on it at 2 weeks old, and it was a relative bargain. It wasn't difficult to find, and certainly there's no problem with stock of this camera now. But having said that, why did I go for this? It's a great package. This is not a review of this camera. I mean, that will maybe come later if people want me to do that. But it's 40 megapixel. That's more megapixels than most people would realistically need in day-to-day use. Also, it gives you 40 megapixel gives you a great croppability factor. For sure, you're getting a lot in the image. So the croppability is quite useful sometimes. You know, you can crop down to a standard sort of 24, 26 megapixel shot, which is still, you know, adequate for most people in most situations, and, you know, give yourself a bit of flexibility. Build quality for me is fine. You know you've got it in your hand, but it's not too heavy to carry around with you all day. I never use a neck strap with any camera that I use. So I always use a standard hand strap, and basically for this camera, you know, like this, it's perfect. Doesn't strain my, as I said before, I'm an older photographer, so you know, joints and stuff maybe not as flexible. Certainly I don't have any problems walking around with this all day. Build quality is fine. The lens is certainly sharp enough for street use, general use, and for most uses it's good. I get 350 to 450 shots out of a battery, sometimes a bit more. I'm not precious over how I use the battery. I don't try and save the battery at every option. Generally, I quite like it. If you're going to buy one of these, buy a spare battery, put it in your pocket. I do that almost every camera I have. I almost inevitably have a spare battery in my pocket, even with the GFX. If I take it out, I've always got a spare battery with me. For what it costs, it's a good security. Batteries do fail. They do suddenly drop off at times. Anyway, battery keeps you covered. But having said that, what don't I like about it? That's what people want to know. Well, it's a little bit smaller in real life than maybe it looks on YouTube. When I first saw one, I was expecting maybe an X Pro 3 or something size from what it looks like on a video. Reality is, in real life, it's actually quite small. It's not quite as small as an X30 or 50 or whatever you'll use, but it's a small camera. So, but it's got the weight, and I like that. So what don't I like about it? Well, the controls are very light. The command wheels, front and back, way too light for me. If you set anything there, exposure compensation, that sort of thing, yeah, you're going to knock this by accident. You're going to pick the camera up and something's going to be set differently to what you think. I've set the camera up in a way that doesn't affect me with my use case. The shutter release, again, very light. If you put it on drive, if you're doing multiple frame shots, yeah, you'll take more than you think. Other than that, it doesn't have a nice little button, so you can select between viewfinder and LCD, and yeah, you can put it on automatic, but I miss that button. I use it a lot on the GFX. Sometimes I don't want the LCD at all. I don't want it to keep flashing up, and sometimes I need it, so the button's more useful than the sensor. I don't use the optical viewfinder at all. I'm a left eye shooter, so it's a little bit moot point. So I don't use the optical viewfinder. I don't generally use the out-of-camera JPEGs. I don't use the film sims. Sometimes I do. I set the colours up and that, so whatever I get out of the camera in a JPEG form is certainly acceptable to my taste. And if you just want a quick snaps for social media or something, yeah, it's fine. And I've got no problem at all with people that use JPEGs. The JPEGs that come out of here, if you set the camera up precisely how you want it, they're fantastic. The colour ranges, that if you can't find a film sim that suits you, then looking for something that doesn't exist, or the option is to use RAW only. I use Capture One to my own requirements, and in the past customer requirements too. People say, oh, it's a Leica wannabe, it's too expensive. It's a lot cheaper than a Leica. If you've ever used Leicas, I've used some in the past. It's not a Leica. The image quality is good, is exceptional in some respects. In general terms, in feel and weight and how you use it, it's not a Leica at all. Having said that, it's significantly cheaper than a Leica. So it's a Leica-esque style. I've got a Leica style thing on it, lens hood. But anyway, it does everything it says on the tin. It takes great images. I use this camera 4 or 5 times a week. As I say, the idea of this channel is to share my journey with this camera and other photography. You know, the GFX I will add into the mix, but I'll start with this camera and see how we go. The only way I can develop this channel is with your help. As all YouTubers seem to say, please like and subscribe. If you can do that or anything close to that, or comment, that helps me develop this channel. And you can tell me what you like to see, what you don't like to see, of course. But if you can help me in any way possible, I thank you so much, because that is the only way we can move forward. I'd like to share what I'm doing. We can talk about maybe reviews and things at a later date, how I set the camera up, talk about general ideas of photography, street photography, urban landscape. My journey from X to GFX and everything in between. It's not limited to Fuji. Obviously, much of what I'd like to talk about and share with you is applicable to any other make of camera. So hopefully that's of interest. So roll the images. Thank you, and see you in the next one.